All right, so let's say, for example, in the exam, you will be asked to answer a question like this. For example, describe a beautiful place to visit in your country. You would say where it is and how to get there, what there is to do like when you are there, and explain why you recommend this place. Okay. So as I told you yesterday, we have two ways. You can choose the way that actually fits you, because some students, they want just to pass the exam, and some actually they want to get a very good mark. So that's why we're going to give you both ways and try to choose the way that you think it is like you think that it is good for you. Let's start with the first one. Okay, for example, once you start, for example, you'll say, okay, sir. Or, okay, Ms. depends like on who is the person who is actually talking to you that time. So you can say, for example, okay, sir, or okay, Ms. If it is like, if she's a woman, you can say Ms. And if he's a man, you can say sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Then you start, for example, with any clause. This is actually the basic one, the one who wants to get like 5 and above, like 6. So it helps them just to talk for a period of time without hesitation and without cuts. If you kindly allow me to. If you kindly allow me to. And then you start like paraphrasing the question. Just you start paraphrasing the question. The question says, actually, describe a beautiful place to visit in my country. Okay, so you just continue, for example, okay, sir, if you kindly allow me to, for example, describe, for example, visit or have a visit, for example, to. Okay, sir. Okay, Ms. If you kindly allow me to describe an amazing, for example, place I usually have a visit to, for example, in my country, I will absolutely say it is. And then, for example, you answer the first question, like the name, for example. I will absolutely say, for example, it is blah, blah, blah. And if he's a person, you can say he is. She is a woman, you can say she is. Like, but not the place actually. Okay, sir, if you allow me or kindly allow me to describe a person who I really admire, I would absolutely say that he is blah, blah, blah. She is blah, 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 like this. So this is actually a good way, for example, to start your talk. Don't start, for example, suddenly. Just you need to use some phrases I mean, to help you actually to arrange, like, for example, your sentences. So actually now you paraphrase the question, right? So this one, actually the question is actually paraphrased. The question is actually paraphrased. So now you paraphrase this question. Okay, if you have no words at that time, so you have no synonyms, you don't know how to paraphrase, it's okay. You can say, okay, sir, if you kindly allow me to describe a beautiful place to visit in my country, I would absolutely say blah, blah, blah. Just you can say the same question, but you need to change the pronouns because you are going to talk about yourself. So if you kindly allow me to describe an amazing or a beautiful place to visit in my country, I will absolutely say that it is blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is number one. And I told you this one actually the basic way. Okay, if you want just to follow the subtopics, if you want to follow the subtopics, because they are going to help you to plan your answer actually in the exam. But also we have another way to tell you like later. So now the first question is like, for example, where it is. Okay, you can use another statement. All right, so this is actually the second point. All right, so now you will move actually to the first point here, or normally the second point actually in the subtopics in the exam. So if you asked me about where it is, I could tell you that it is located to the southeast, for example, of Yemen. You talk like you answer now the question where it is. So from the beginning, we can say, okay, sir, if you kindly allow me to describe an amazing place I usually have a visit to in my country, I will absolutely say that it is, for example, any name, like for example in Arabic. All right, let's say Linkawi. All right, and if you asked me about, for example, the place or where it is, like I could tell you that it is located to the south, for example, east, like in Malaysia. Okay, if you want to say which is located like in Asia, it's okay. Just try to talk as much as you can. So here, for example, when you reach to the third question, for example, don't talk about it. Like, don't say, okay, if you blah, 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 if you blah, blah, blah. No, just you say, for example, actually. And then you start answering actually question number 3. All right. So how to get there, for example. You try to talk here, for example, how to get there, what there is to do, for example, when you are there. Don't try just to mention the questions, but try, for example, to talk immediately. All right, so actually, we usually go there, for example, by a bus or by a taxi or by our cars. Sometimes we go, like, for example, in the plane and so on. All right, and also the question what is after, like there is to do when you are there, what are the activities, for example. You can talk about, for example, the activities that you do, like what there is to do when you're there, what are the activities that you can do. You can say same, for example, actually, and then you start talking about the activities. Okay, so for example, playing, this is like one of the activities. Maybe cooking, you start talking about food, and sometimes like telling stories, whatever the activities like you may do there. So when you reach actually to the last question, which is and explain why you recommend this place, So you can use this one, for example, to sum up. You start, for example, telling him the reason, for example. Here, it depends, for example, on the time that you have talked, for example, and like if you talked for about like 1 minute, so when you reach actually to sum up, you can talk maybe as many as you can. When you reach actually to sum up, and then you have talked maybe 1.5, so you try to give like two or one reason, two reasons or one reason. To sum up, for example, then you start saying this question. For example, I recommend this place. I recommend this place for a few, for example, okay. So this is actually when you reach to, for example, the end, when you reach to the end. So say to sum up, I recommend this place, actually, it is not DC. This place for a few reasons. On the top of that, for example, it is, and then you give the first reason. And so another reason is blah, 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 blah. So this is actually a way, for example, to go from one question to another in order to talk for about 2 minutes. And you know, for example, what are you going to talk about? So first of all, you have 1 minute, like describe a beautiful place to visit. And remember, this is like simple present. So you'll talk in the present. And where it is, you just write the place, for example, where it is. It is in Malaysia. How to get there by a bus, sometimes on the plane or by a plane. And what they're to do, for example, cooking, swimming, doing, for example, a lot of activities, visiting, for example, places. You try to write some, for example, some points that usually do there. Why recommend this place, for example? For a few reasons. The first reason, actually, it is the people, maybe, are really kind and cooperative. And also the place, for example, let's say has a lot of services and a lot of facilities, خدمات. طيب هذا كلهم تكتبون في الدقيقة وبعدين تبدأ تتنقل من فكرة إلى أخرى. All right, so you can say, okay, sir, okay, Ms., if she's a woman, if you kindly allow me to describe an amazing place, for example, to visit in my country, I will absolutely say that it is, for example, Langkawi Island. If you asked me about where it is, I could tell you that it is located to the southeast of Malaysia, which is located in Asia. To be honest, تبدأ تتكلم عن الفقرة الثانية والثالثة. You can say, for example, actually. All right, so when we decide to go there, sometimes we take the bus, but most often we go, for example, in our private cars. And there are a lot of activities, for example, we do there. For example, we play together and do a lot of, for example, activities. Not only this, but also we make, for example, several types of like food, and also you visit, for example, a lot of natural places and enjoy and contemplate, for example, the nature. To sum up, then you start talking about the reasons. I really recommend this place to be visited for a few reasons. The first reason actually is the fabulous and amazing natural places to see there. And the second reason actually is the people. The people there are really kind and cooperative and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So actually this way will help you to arrange actually your sentences, and you plan, for example, what are the things that you're going to talk about first, what are the things that you're going to talk about second, and what are the things that you're going to talk about third, and finally what are you going to talk about. So like it helps you to plan, for example, your ideas. تساعدك انك تنظم الافكار وتتنقل من فكره الى اخرى بدون انقطاع، يعني بدون انقطاع مثلا في الافكار او توصل الى منطقه وتتوقف. طبعا هذه طريقه. الطريقه الثانيه طبعا هذا ما تعتمدش على السب توبكس، تعتمد انك عندك قدره كبيره انك تتكلم عن الموضوع الرئيسي here. اوكي. So describe a beautiful place to visit in your country. لو كان عندك القدرة انك تتكلم على هذا الموضوع يعني بدون التحدث على السب توبكس it will be much more better. بس ما تعرف، كل واحد على حسب لغته. Okay. So you can for example, did you write these?
Yes.
Okay. Another way, for example, if you want actually, and you notice, maybe you know that your English is so good, all right, and you can, for example, talk freely about the topic. So you can just prepare some notes in 1 minute, and then you start, for example, saying like this, for example, let me just share with you the board. Well, I have been asked to talk about a place to visit, for example, in my country. Okay. So actually the examiners will say like this sometimes, if you notice, for example, in YouTube channels, they say, well, I've been asked to talk about a place to visit, for example, in my country. So I am going to talk about, for example, Langkawi Island. Okay. So here actually you answered the first question. You can see the question. For example, describe beautiful place to visit in your country. And you say the place. And then actually you start talking immediately about, for example, the place. Talking immediately. All right. So you talk about the place, you talk blah, 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 talk blah, blah, blah. So when you reach, for example, to the third one here, for example, maybe just you remind the examiner that you are, like, for example, talking about the same topic. So you can say another phrase from the book that we studied before. So now let's talk about blah, blah, blah. Now let's highlight blah, blah, blah. For example, when you reach to another point. Or let me, for example, highlight the, for example, activities. It depends like on the question. Okay. This is like when you reach to the end. And then you talk, for example, freely. Just you talk freely about the topic. Okay, so you don't actually focus on the subtopics, but actually you try to talk about the topic from your point of view, like from your mind. You don't focus on the palette, like, or bullet, sorry, but actually you talk freely about the topic. So, well, I've been asked to talk about a place to visit in my country, so I'm going to talk about Langkawi Island. So first of all, this place actually is located to the southeast of blah, blah, blah. And we usually, for example, go there for example, by a bus or by a train, and we do blah blah blah. You talk without returning back to the questions. You talk without returning back to the questions. And also, you need to say, like, to sum up, for example, and then you just talk freely about like the topic. This is like another way if you think that you will be able to talk freely about the topic. But actually, if you think that you can't and maybe you will go off topic, so it's better for you just to talk like in the way that we've talked about before. I don't know if you write it or no, because it is not here now. Okay. All right, so this is actually the way, for example, if you want to talk. So actually it is easy, but actually it needs to be practiced. So for example, here you have a topic. You can say, okay, sir, if you kindly allow me to describe like my favorite shop, I would absolutely say that it is IOI City Mall. If you asked me about the place that this like shop is in, so I could tell you that it is like, for example, in Kageng or like any place. Well, this place, and then you start talking about, like, for example, the things and also the people. To sum up, and then you just start, for example, why you like this place. Really, I really enjoy going and visiting this, for example, shop for a few reasons. The first reason is blah, blah, blah. The second reason is blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is like the first way. The second way, actually, as I told you, oh, I've been asked to describe my favorite shop. So I am going to talk about, for example, IOI City Mall. And then you start talking about it. You talk about IOI City Mall, anything that you want to talk about. تتكلم يعني كيفما تريد بدون الرجوع. ما تقول okay, if you ask me about where it is, if you, for example, wants me to explain what are the things it sells, وهكذا. يعني ترجع للأسئلة، تتكلم بشكل يعني بشكل متحرر. تتكلم بشكل متحرر. بس على فكرة ال if clauses are good, but actually if you use them a lot they will notice, for example. لذلك استخدمناها مرة أو مرتين، لأنه ال if clauses اللي تبدأ ب if clauses أنت الآن تستخدم إيش؟ تستخدم ال complex sentences، الجملة المعقدة. يعني هي حاجة حلوة إنك تبدأ مثلا okay sir, if you kindly allow me to talk about blah blah blah, I could tell you blah blah blah, I would absolutely blah blah blah. فراح تكون جملة معقدة أو على الأقل يعني جملة مركبة معقدة، وعلى الأقل تكون complex sentence اللي جملة معقدة يعني. طيب، إذا هذه هي الطريقة. ممكن تتدربوا على الوحدة، جرب الأولى والثانية وشوف وين. إذا بتشوف إن أنت بتتكلم على الموضوع يعني بأريحية وما بتخرجش عن السياق، خلاص خذ لك الطريقة الثانية. إذا شفت إنه لا، بتحس إن أنت تتكلم دقيقة بس وما تستطيع، خلاص تتكلم على الطريقة الأولى. For example, this one, describe a memorable journey you have made. Who's going to talk about it? So I'm going to give him like 1 minute.
We can't see the screen.
You can't see the screen?
No, we can't. See the whiteboard.
All right, so now,
It's
describe a memorable journey you have made. Okay, this is actually the question. Okay, if there is someone wants to talk about it, so I'll give him 1 minute. Okay, so I'll choose randomly then. Mahmoud, are you ready to talk about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so take 1 minute. I'll give you 1 minute. Okay, think about it and write some notes.
Okay.
All right, time's up. So you have now 1 or 2 minutes to talk about the topic. You can start.
Okay. Well, if you kindly allow me to tell you to describe for you a memorable that I've made, I would talk about my latest visit to Langkawi Island. It took place in 2019 and in January 2019. We traveled by boat, actually by ferry. There's only two ways that you can get to the island. It's either by plane or by ferry. So we took the ferry. We thought me and my friend, we thought it would be like more fun. And so we took this holiday after like a long month, like very hard working month. And then yeah, we really enjoyed it. The food over there was like really great. The beach was like really nice, and there's a lot of activities that you can do. There's like something that is called Mangrove Trip, which is like a trip by boat in the rivers of the island over there. You can see different kinds of animals like alligators or sometimes falcons also, which is like really nice. And the most memorable thing about this journey was the ferry ride, actually, because the day that we went there, it was like the weather wasn't like very nice. It was like stormy weather, and then the ocean was like really terrible. It was like high waves, and then like I remember everybody on the boat was
Thank you.
throwing up.
Time's up.
And
Okay, so
sorry.
this is like the end of part number two. Time's up. Okay, great. So
Okay.
you've talked like 2 minutes. All right, thank you so much. Actually, you're great. All right, so but actually, you need to focus on the time because, like as I told you in techniques, like if you talk for more than 2 minutes, you will be stopped by the examiner. Okay, but actually, you start, for example, taking like one of the phrases or the clauses I have just said, and then you started talking about the topic ornamentically and in a very direct way. So this is actually great. Now it is like the first time. Thank you, Mr. Mahmoud. Let's go to somebody else.
Okay.
All right, describe a special occasion when you had like a really enjoyable meal. Okay, choose randomly. Maybe Ms. Wala, you think about the topic for 1 minute. All right, so time's up. So you have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about the topic. You can start.
Okay, sir. If you kindly allow me to talk about the occasion, I tell you amazing occasion was in it about wedding party for my friends. It was happened yesterday. I went to this occasion with my friends and also my relatives, and we spent a lot nice and interesting time together. Uh, I um, I eat Malaysian and Chinese food. Really, I like it so much. The why I enjoy. I enjoyable this food or this meal because this is the first time for me to eat Malaysian food exactly with my friends and with my relatives. Because when I saw at the restaurant, I didn't never uh, to try to eat it, but in this occasion I was eating with them, so that's I enjoyable to eat this kind of food.
All right. So you still have time. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I don't like to go this occasion, but for if my friends, my best close friends, I can go. That's
Okay.
all. Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think you've talked for about 1 and a few seconds, like 1 minute and a few seconds. All right, so if you can elaborate and talk more than that, it will be also much more better. So it's like the first time, so that's great. Very good. Okay, thank you, Ms. Wala. Yeah, Farah, she said she has a problem today. Anybody else wants to participate? Um, Let me choose a very easy topic. So describe a school that you attended. You should say when you went there, how many people studied there, how long you spent there, and explain what you liked and disliked about it. Anybody is ready to talk about it?
آه،
Yes.
فرح كاتبة بالشات بس إنه المايك تبعه منزوع.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, is there anybody else wants to talk about it? Let me
Me?
just Wala again, okay. I'll give you 1 minute. Okay, so time's up. You can talk about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you to allow me to talk. I will tell you about the school which I visited or attended last year. I attend the EMAS school, which here in Putrajaya. I went this school last year in September, the 1st September last year, 2021. I went there because I want apply to be a teacher. There is a lot of students there, also a lot of teachers, but a lot of students. There are a lot from many countries, Arab countries and foreigners. I spent there maybe 4 hours because I have a mock exam, mock interview. So I like the school. I like the building, and I don't like because it's so far away from the other sites. They haven't another branches in KL or in another area. Also, I like the curriculum which this school teach the students. Also, I like the classes how is divided, and also I like because they make mixture foreigners, Arab foreigners and from another countries, Bangladesh and this, so they choose the native speakers to speak teach English and math and science. So that's, thank you,
Very
sir.
good. Very good. All right, so if you were a student, for example, would you study in the school?
What?
If you were a student, would you like study in the school?
Of course, yes. Also, if I have child, I will let him or her to go to the school.
Yeah, all right. So try to make your answer very short. If there is like a question will be asked after part number two. Okay, good. All right, thanks. I think Mahmoud, again, you will have to talk about this topic, which is describe an exciting experience in your life. I'm gonna give you 1 minute.
Excuse me, sir. Just can you move the file to the right a little bit so I can read the whole question?
The question is here. Describe an exciting experience in your life. All right, so now you can talk about the topic. We still have just a minute and the Zoom cuts. Okay, try to talk.
Okay. Well, if you kindly allow me to describe an exciting experience in my life, I would have to choose the first coaster ride I had in my life, which is I was like around 15 or 16 years old. So that was in 2010. And the place that I tried this roller coaster is was in my country, was in Syria. So when you look at it, like the first time, you say like it's just a normal thing, like I'm just gonna enjoy the ride. But actually, when you get on the roller coaster,